And I'm challenging anyone, everyone, to come with me. If they say I am wrong, I am challenging them to take a trip with me to the Panorama. I am challenging them to look at how much salaries are being paid by MTPA on their allocation if you think I am wrong. I am challenging you to go with us in the next travel in Daba and see how many government officials are going to be there. And I am making this plea because I do not want you to say I am lying. I am making this public challenge. I am challenging anyone who says I am wrong to say Oupa 1, 2, 3 is not true. And I will be man enough to apologize.
Lochani Agwande, yes, Lochi Segupina Upila Finyalela Kona in the big seat, and thank you so much for making time to be glued to your screen. Today I'm hanging out with Oupa Pilane, the special attaché to the KLCBT, but is also among the founders and directors of the Graskop Gorge. He joins us in conversation to reflect into the state of our tourism. He has had a lot to say about the state of tourism in Mpumalanga, considering that Mpumalanga does attract a huge number of tourists, be it international or domestic tourists who come to our province. And when you look at the stats, we are attracting the second biggest tourism pool after the Western Cape. But what makes our tourism at this particular state? Oupa Pilane joins us now. Domdal, good evening. Well, I almost said good evening, but greetings, and I appreciate you agreeing to sit down with us.
No, thank you, Mr. And thank you for inviting me.
Yeah.
And yeah, greetings to yourself and your listeners and your team.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe let's get straight into it. I mean, how best do you rate the state of our tourism in Mpumalanga currently?
Look, I think from the positive side is that we are lucky that we have the Kruger National Park.
Yeah.
And I think from where we started many years ago, we did well to position Mpumalanga with safari. But truth of the matter is that we only have about 30% of the landmark of the Kruger National Park. 70% of the Kruger National Park is in Limpopo.
Sure.
But through the work that we did in previous years was that we had to be very strategic and very clever in usurping that and making people think that the Kruger National Park is actually in Mpumalanga.
Yeah.
And what that did was that it made us one of the key tourism nodes in the country, not just in Mpumalanga, in the country.
Sure.
So if you look at what is currently happening, there are two nodes in the country, especially after COVID.
Okay.
The recovery has happened largely in Cape Town, to be specific.
Sure.
Not even the entire Western Cape, just in Cape Town.
Yeah.
And in the Kruger National Park.
Jeez.
You know, so South Africa has now become a two-destination country, you know, immediately after COVID.
Yeah.
And then now the challenge is that what then do we do? Because it is unsustainable. So let's talk about the numbers.
Sure.
So we've had since pre-COVID 2019, we've had about a 15% increase in international arrivals.
Okay.
And it is important to also note that when we talk about the 2.1 million visitors that we have as internationals that come through to the country,
yeah,
it is important to understand and segment these international visitors. Where do they come from?
Sure.
About 1 million of those come from Mozambique.
Wow. So it's 2.1 million, a million of almost.
Yeah, so actually 1.2 million come from Mozambique.
Jeez.
You know, come from Mozambique. So Mozambique becomes a very key source market.
Yeah. Yeah.
For us as Mpumalanga.
Sure.
You know, and about 400 to 500 of those come from Eswatini.
Very interesting.
You see, so 1.7 million visitors that come to Mpumalanga come from Mozambique and Eswatini.
And they become direct neighbors of Mpumalanga.
Yes. You know, so it is important that when we say we're doing well and everything, that context becomes important. So basically, you are looking at about 400 that comes from the US and...
That's 400,000.
Yes, that come from the US and Europe.
But a big pool comes from, obviously, SADC. I mean, just direct neighbors of the province.
Yes, sir. So you will have Zimbabwe, you will have Mozambique, you will have a bit of Lesotho coming into. But of course, then you've got the Americans, which are the largest pool of that, and then you've got the Germans that are the second largest international pool into that, you know. So you basically have about 1.7 million international visitors that come from our direct neighboring country, Mozambique and Eswatini. They play a very, very important economic role in the province.
Sure.
Then, of course, you've got smaller numbers from our other SADC countries like Zimbabwe, Botswana, you know. But the overseas market, as we say, then you have the Americans being the highest, then followed by the Germans. Then it's France, you know, and the numbers goes like that. So all those numbers then add up to 2.1 million. But what is key is also to understand what are they coming here to do.
True. One would argue and say a large part of why the Mozambicans come to Mpumalanga is retail, to shopping. Yeah. It's shopping.
So shopping becomes very, very important for us, you know. They come to our retail. So we find that the largest sector that comes from leisure is our overseas market.
Sure.
You know, they spend well, but again, where do they go? They go to the Kruger National Park.
But obviously that would exclude the tourists that are coming primarily to shop in South Africa, Mozambique.
Yes. So now I'm focusing largely on the leisure market.
Sure.
You see, so the leisure market comes into Mpumalanga, and largely 80% of them end up in the Kruger National Park.
Yeah, let's bring in then the agency in Mpumalanga tasked to lead tourism, the Mpumalanga Tourism and Parks Agency. They introduced what they called a tri-land. They start in Mozambique. In fact, they start in the Kingdom of Eswatini all the way to Mozambique to Mpumalanga. How impactful has that particular tri-land been in ensuring that it does address the point you have raised, to also conscientize, obviously, these neighboring markets of our offering as Mpumalanga?
Look, I don't want to sound pessimistic, but that thing is just a waste of time and government money, because all we see there is government officials visiting each other.
Okay.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah.
You know, it's a waste of time, it's a waste of money for government, you know. And when they invite, when they say there's private sector, they talk about SMME guys that are still upcoming with one or two combis that move around people, you know. So it's a joke, to say the least. So is it a good idea? Yes, it is a good idea. You see, but is it being executed properly?
Sure.
No, it is not. You know, so we've got quite a number of challenges that, as 3 countries, we need to deal with.
Yeah.
You know, number 1 is that we've got issues of border control,
Sure.
which are a headache for tour operators.
Sure. Sure.
And the Thailand is not dealing with that. That is the main key issue. You see, and we've raised it as the private sector. So you've got issues of border control,
Yeah.
you see, which are a major a stumbling block. So you've got issues of visa.
Sure.
You see, so when you say to international tourists, you can have breakfast in South Africa, have lunch in Mozambique, and have dinner in Eswatini. The guy will have challenges to enter those countries because of our different visa regimes.
Sure. Sure. Sure.
You see, so it is not really effective as we would want it to be. So what do we then do? Is that if we are to be able to make sure that the Thailand works, is that you ought to start with the legislators.
Sure.
You see, so we've got to legislate the similar traveling patterns in 3 countries.
Yeah.
Meaning that if we have a visa-free for Kenyans, Mozambique should have the same.
Sure.
Eswatini should have the same.
Yeah.
You know, as an example. And if I have a tour operating business and I want to travel to Eswatini and in Mozambique, it should be easy for me to do that. See, but right now, the fees that we have to pay to cross over it's ridiculous.
So we introduced the Thailand, obviously to deal with the number of people coming from these neighboring countries. But what other offering products are we then as Mpumalanga offering besides just the shopping malls and some of the wholesalers that we have? Because I would imagine that someone would cross all the way from Mozambique to come to Mpumalanga. What about our restaurant businesses? Are they benefiting within particularly, these 1-day, 2-day travels of some of these neighboring country tourists? What about, because it's beyond question, one has to rest even when they're driving. What about our pit stops, our recreational pit stops? When I'm laying over just for that 2-3 hours just to relax, what are we offering from a tourism perspective? Because yes, we might not own all the retail shopping malls, but what are we doing then as tourists, in fact, as a tourist invested province, to ensure that at least there is a little bit of a spending around some of, particularly this itinerary of these shoppers who come to Mpumalanga for that particular reason? Look,
we are not even tracking. Mpumalanga tourism does not even track who comes and what do they do when they are here. They're not tracking. If you are going to ask for numbers tomorrow, they're not going to give you. You see, I'm saying that the challenge is that MTPA does not even have capacity to track the behavior of these tourists. So we need to track them. I mean, you must have seen in my social media at some point that I commented about how Eswatini tourism immediately released statistics
for
bushfire.
Sure.
Because they track. And that statistics is important.
Sure.
Because then you are able to plan and influence certain decisions, of buying decisions of people.
Yeah.
So you are able to say, okay, these large numbers came from here. So I can go and launch a campaign.
Yeah.
for these people, do packages so that they just don't end up at bushfire, but
Sure.
they can then geographically spread the country. So that's what we need to do in Mpumalanga. But see, the biggest challenge that we have with MTPA is that it is not a marketing institution. It's a salary-paying institution. You see, they get 500 million rand allocation from government.
Yeah.
Go ask them how much they spend on salaries.
From that 500 million.
From that 500 million. Almost 470,000 million pay salaries.
Jeez. I was speaking to some of the board members there. Many were critiquing some of the decisions taken by the suspended CEO, Mduduzi Vilakazi. Some they've said that the entity has become an event organizing entity instead of promoting tourism. Let's now dive deep into your honest reflections of the shortcomings of the entity or of the agency. Number one, where do you think they're having it wrong?
Number one, you just have to, there isn't absolutely, we were having a general chat with you. And I said to you that if I run a business and my salary costs exceed 30%,
Sure.
I'm gone.
Yeah, no, sure.
Yeah. So if you have 500 million and your salary cost is 470 million,
That's about over 90% of your allocation.
you basically are not going to do anything.
Sure.
Because all your money, and I was saying to one guy, you busy clapping hands and saying MTPA get a clean audit. I said, it is easy to audit 470 million because it pays salaries. So
Sure.
it is nothing to clap hands about.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
it's easy. So are you saying that you can struggle to keep receipts of 30 million? You see, so you will definitely get clean audits.
Yeah, yeah.
You see, so it is nothing to be proud of.
Sure.
You see, we should be worried as the tourism sector. Number two, I made a call that we need to have a session where we discuss an events calendar
Sure.
in the province, and we look at the type of events that we do. A Kwaito festival in Mbombela Stadium does not help our tourism, where 10,000 young people are going to sleep at the stadium because they can't afford to go and sleep everywhere. So it's going to be a 6 to 6, and 10,000 by 6 o'clock, you still have 10,000 of these young people at the stadium there.
Yeah.
And we've thrown in millions of rands in that event.
Yeah. So what sort of an event would you think will assist both in the tourism, but also both in event curation?
Look, we don't even have to look far. There are examples that we have done well in the province.
Yeah.
You see, let's look at Inibos.
Sure.
You see, we don't have to look far. All we need to do is to study what the organizers of Inibos have done to be able to fill this town
Sure.
in that week.
Yeah.
That they make over 240 million for the city of Nelspruit. The restaurants are busy, the hotels are busy, the guest houses are busy. So tell me of an event that is being funded by MTPA that resembles Inibos. So where there is benefits. The metro, it is not our event.
Sure.
So we can't be clapping hands. It's not our event.
Yeah.
But we are capable of curating international events.
Sure.
There's nothing, it's not a rocket science to do that.
But someone would say we've got a 013 summer place.
Come on, go to the I love Zakel.
Yeah.
Respect him. I love his hustle.
Sure.
But from a tourism point of view, is it not helping us? No, it is not. Go to his Facebook page. He says, I do not, understand why at 6 o'clock in the morning, we will still have 10,000 people having fun. I'm quoting him verbatim.
Sure.
You see, and I said, when I was asked by the department to do a review and to give my honest review of the cultural experience, I said, look, guys, we don't need 10,000 people sleeping at the stadium, dancing the whole night at the stadium. We need these people to go sleep in our hotels. So that we should be able to pay for our rates and taxes. We should be able to pay for staff. We should be able to run the economy of this country. We don't want to be spending millions of rands for people to go and dance the whole night in the stadium. So how does it help us? It doesn't benefit any of the sector.
Yeah, but I mean, you do got hotels within the department's portfolio. The likes of your, the hotel that is in Pilgrim Rest. I mean, they're struggling to keep it alive. So are we also saying that we must then, as government, be okay with the fact that the money is going to private hands, but it's not to a larger extent, assisting in terms of knowing who are the beneficiaries? Because majority of some of these property owners, obviously, are advantageous based on previous, government and democratic dispensation. So let's talk about then how do we then balance the economy, because it can't seem to favor one part of the sector, but not all parts of the sector.
So how does an event that keeps 10,000 young people in a stadium benefit anyone? Because it benefits one or two people.
Sure.
You see, it benefits the organizer.
Sure.
And it benefits the people that are directly involved in organizing that event.
Sure.
So it does not spread its benefits to the town, to the province.
Yeah.
So you touch Pilgrim Rest, you see, government has got no capacity to run a business, and it is not their core function.
Sure, I agree.
It's not their core function. You see? But they want to run businesses. You see, let me make an example. If you take the business that I'm involved with at Graskop Gorge,
sure,
and you take God's Window, you take the potholes, you take the 3 rondavells, make those things. Our business model, Musa, is the same.
Sure.
We make money from people paying at the gate.
Sure.
But listen to this. God's Window makes money from the gate. But God's Window does not have a salary bill. Their salary is paid by government.
Sure.
God's Window gets a maintenance allocation every year. The gorge, from the gates, it must keep the place clean, it must pay salaries, it must pay its loans and everything else. But go and compare. Go and compare and ask yourself why. Because if there is a facility that has the same business model but has got an advantage, 2 advantages
Sure.
over you, surely that place should have been far much better,
Sure.
3 times better than the gorge.
Should be thriving. Sure. Sure. Then what do you think is the problem there?
Corruption.
How so?
Let's ask ourselves that if a place, if I give you this chair, it's broken
Sure.
this year, and I give you an allocation for maintenance, and I come back next year, I find the chair broken.
Yeah. Where's the money gone?
Where has the money gone? That's the question we should ask. So if you say you have an allocation to fix a toilet and the toilet has not worked, and yet there was an allocation to fix a toilet, I'm not even asking you to build a skyscraper because clearly you can't. I'm asking for too much if you can't fix a toilet.
But we do have a project of a skyscraper.
Where? Where is it? Where is it? Where is it?
Yeah.
You see, so all I'm saying is that it is corruption. Number one, that is messing us up. Number two, it's incompetence.
Sure.
You see, we have employed people that have got no slightest clue of how tourism functions. All they want is to go on trial trips. Look at the travel industry. How many government officials do you find at the travel industry? So compare that with how many SMMEs or businesses in tourism that they take. And that is a trade show. It's not a government seminar. You see, we're not going for a government seminar. We are going there to sell to each other as business. It's a B2B.
Yeah.
You see, if I'm making it easier for some people to understand, it's a business to business
sure.
Event where I'm selling a bed and then you are selling transport to me. You know, it has absolutely nothing to do with government. You see, so instead of them sending 1 or 2 or 3 people just to coordinate and ensure, no. They all go there. To do what? That's the question we should ask. You see, so government has got no business in the business of tourism.
Yeah, let's talk about, the core message of why you've been critical about MTPA. You say that they've completely neglected the Panorama Route. You cite that they are not even maintaining some of the infrastructure in some of the sites. Their ablution facilities are not even to be used by tourists. Tourists use buckets to wash their hands. Just share more there. What's going on?
Look, I work in the Panorama. And I have seen our numbers dropping. So, and I'm not lying.
Yeah.
Our domestic numbers, domestic tourism is the bedrock of our tourism.
Yeah.
It's a bedrock we've got to survive with domestic tourism. You cannot rely on overseas people. You know, you want to rely on the patriotism of your locals in the country.
Sure.
We have now gone down to number 5 from number 3 as a province. So we are no longer appealing to our domestic clients. And why is that? You ask that question. You should ask. If you are a tourism institution, you ask that question.
Yeah.
And we ask the question. Because our livelihood is based on these tourists coming.
Sure.
We did a short survey at the gorge asking people what interests them, what are the challenges in the first thing that came up on top was toilets. The first thing that came up on top was people were complaining about toilets.
Now, these are tourists that have come to the gorge?
Yes.
And you're just running a random survey?
Yes, because you see, what we did when we started the gorge is that initially when we started marketing the gorge as the gorge.
Yeah.
And we realized that it is not making sense and people are looking for value for money.
Yeah.
And when we did our research, we realized that you can actually not market the gorge outside the panorama.
Sure.
So you've got to market the gorge within the route of the panorama.
Sure.
You see, so when you say amazing experiences, you know, and then so who's lying?
It's you.
You see, so I'm saying, come and see this scenic beauty. You will have an amazing experience. You know, so the tourist comes because I've told him or her that you are going to have an amazing experience. So the tourists come, but the tourist pays at your side.
Yeah.
But the tourists must then now, when they want to use your ablution facilities, they must find their own toilet paper.
So you say MTPA has hired a private company to provide toilet papers in the route?
For themselves in the offices, not for the sites.
Okay.
So this private company provides them in their head office with all cleaning materials, toilet papers, anything, everything that you need for the sites. And they are non-paying clients there. So we pay them salaries, we pay them for everything, we even pay them for cleaning things that they need, which makes sense, but we're saying use the same model for the sites.
Yeah.
Especially when people are paying to come and see the sites.
Why do you think the German tourists numbers have decreased, particularly even when we had a direct flight coming from Frankfurt? It has since been discontinued, I'm told, at the Kruger Mpumalanga International Airport. It was obviously a top tier, program of having a direct flight coming from Frankfurt. Number one, let's talk about what really informed it, but now why are we no longer having it?
Look, I think for us it was a very good idea that we need to, access becomes very important.
Sure.
You know, tourists needs to have access of roads, access of air, you know. So that's basically the most important thing that we need to have. But as we say, is that our offerings are tired. So you cannot go to an area to come all the time to come and see the same thing.
Yeah.
Or to witness its decline.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
You see, so what incentivizes me to come back to witness a decline of facilities?
Do you think crime would have had a play in it? I mean, tourist safety around the Mnumbi area has been a serious concern as well.
Well, crime has had it's a concern around the world.
Sure.
South Africa is perceived as one of the most unsafest places in the planet, you know, and rightfully so. We've had incidences, you know, this province, one of the things that we are struggling and suffering from is a reputational damage, you know. So we are bad at communicating what we do to address issues of crime.
I see. Yeah.
You see, there's a lot of programs that we are doing,
yeah,
to address issues of crime. But we are bad at communicating to the right people
about our interventions,
especially when we are dealing with issues of tourists. That tourism has got a value chain of players.
Yeah.
We are not communicating to the players that are supposed to be bringing these tourists here.
You said something earlier about government delegates or officials going into some of these travel endeavors. Do we even have community safety security liaison delegates coming to form part of the cohort of those who are from Mpumalanga to say, this is what we are doing around issues of security and safety in the tourism endeavors and within, you know, also within the travel endeavors?
No, we don't. We don't, because we don't understand the importance of the value chain of our offerings, that safety becomes one of it. So no one. So I must speak about safety. So when I sell, you see, when I sell the province, I must speak about, the only thing I can speak of that I know is the interventions that we are doing as the private sector.
Jeez. Because
I can't speak for SAPS.
Yeah.
And because I've not seen them on that patrolling that route. All I see is the security guards that we've deployed in the routes that we are paying for as the private sector.
Are you paying them through the KLCBT?
We are paying them through the Tourism Business Council of South Africa, which is a federation of tourism organizations, private sector tourism organizations in the country.
Sure.
So that's what I'm going to be talking about. Because when I go, I mean, I can travel with you now to Numbi Gate.
Yeah.
You see, we will not see a single police car patrolling that road. But you will see a private company patrolling the road.
Lastly, let's talk about Makhonjwa Mountain. It is somewhat of a thorny issue around the mandate of MTPA. Maybe let's regress a bit in the conversation and talk about what did you make of the appointment of the then MEC when he entrusted Makhonjwa Mountain to be under the caretaker of MTPA, because it was under Batobic before. That's how we got the status of the World Heritage Site. Now it's under and maintained by MTPA. What do you think of these two entities? Because they are also seemingly fighting for the maintenance of the heritage site.
Look, if you can't buy a toilet paper, what are you going to do with a World Heritage Site? Let's be honest. The previous MEC might have had good intentions, but he did not look at his capacity. The capacity to be able to make Makhonjwa Mountain a world-class attraction. Because the first thing that you must understand is that why do you even add a world-class, a world heritage to MTPA when MTPA cannot manage Mahushe in Nkomazi? Why? You see, I mean, if you compare, you know, my heart, I went to Manyelet, the community. They invited me after I've been raising these challenges.
Yeah.
And when I saw the faces of those communities, the poverty that is around that area, I wept. Because I could not understand how communities that own such a jewel can be poor. And if you compare, the next door, there's a fence that separates Sabisens
And
Manyelet.
Sure.
Sabisens turns over hundreds of millions of rands, and the people that are involved in there are all wealthy.
So do you reckon that such concessions, they work for the private sector but not largely for the host communities?
No. The challenge is when you have no clue. You see, the problem, Musa, is I appoint Musa to go and deal with issues of concessions, of business. And Musa, in his entire life, has never run a spaza before. You see, those communities, if a model is done correctly, those communities can be the biggest beneficiaries of these lands that they own. But the problem is that we want to give people that have got no clue and they've got self-interest. There's the selfish interest of officials. So as business, we are competing with government officials. We are competing with government, and we must say it, you know, because we are failing. We are being evil, to like a better way. If you see communities owning such richness of the land that they offer, and they struggle and they are poor, it's an indictment on us, especially as African people that have been given the responsibility to oversee these lands on behalf of those people. Yeah. It's an indictment.
In one of your posts, you said it was a bad decision to have MTPA manage the Makhonjwa Mountain simply because they can't manage Manyeleti among the many others. You go through, you know, the Makhonjwa Mountain, the World Heritage Site. Obviously, even as a tourist, if I were to come from whichever European country, I'd land in South Africa, go there, I'll not even spend a cent. Do you think there is, you know, a unique selling point for the mountain? Because besides its scenery and beauty, there's no value.
I've argued that we are a showroom. in this province. That we receive 2.1 million visitors, but our spend is languishing at 7%. You know, our spend is languishing at 7%. So if you calculate, you would see that out of 100 tourists that come here, if you were to calculate 10% of 100, it's 1,000, meaning that it's 10,000. So it means 7,000 people out of 100,000 are spending money in the province. You see? So 7% of the 2.1 million visitors. So they come here, they look at this place, oh, the mountains are nice, they take pictures and they're gone.
There's no value for it.
There is no value for the province. So what do we struggle with? You are bringing 2.1 million visitors. They've got to use our infrastructure. They've got to use our roads. They've got to use our water. But we're getting nothing out of it.
Yeah.
So it's a challenge that we got to deal with, Musa, and we must call a spade a spade. Is that MTPA is actually in an ICU for lack of it's dead to be able to even begin to think that they will do something meaningful about those sites. If we still have hope that MTPA is going to turn around our tourism, then we must be, as Einstein has said, then we must be crazy, because it has taken them 30 years to destroy everything.
Yeah. You look at the existence of MTPA. If my memory serves me well, they were enacted as an entity or as an agent around 2006. To date, 2025, it's about 19 years, 20 years old. They've had different CEOs, likes of Desoli. They've had Jack Moripan. They've had Mr. Nyalunga, if I'm not mistaken. Then they have Duduzi, Mr. Nyalunga. And then they've had Duduzi, Villagas. How best do you rate all these CEOs?
Those guys have been changing CEOs like underwears. You know, it's bad there. I mean, I can't rate. There's nothing I can point to any of those CEOs. Number one is that none of them had understanding of tourism. None of them. You know, and therefore, I will rate you based on the deliverables. I'm not looking at you as a person that you can be eloquent, you can speak well, good English in public. You know, my rating is for me to increase the spend. You see, so if you are running an institution that must bring in tourists in the country, what do we want them to do here? We don't want them just to walk our streets. We want them to spend. And if we are still languishing at 7%, and you can check these numbers, they date back. No, it's not now. They date back to 10 years ago. You know, we are not doing well with our spend. Actually, if you look at Johannesburg, every tourist that goes to Gauteng spends. Their spending is huge. You know, we are, Western Cape is 1.8, we are 2.1, but they are standing at over 25% spend. You know, so all we want as Mpumalanga now is that we need to at least increase our spend by 2%.
From the 7 to 9?
Yes. So you got to pick, because it can't just jump.
Sure.
You know, and how do you do that? You want these tourists to at least spend an extra night.
Okay.
You see. So let me give you a context. Most of these international tourists we're talking about, they are not marketed by us as MTPA. These tourists are marketed from Cape Town. So the Cape Town realized that their clients want to have an experience of safari. So what they do, they sell these packages. And then they would say, okay, I'm going to sell this package, but this package, it's only going to have 2 nights in Mpumalanga, and it will have 14 days in Cape Town.
Wait, do you think that's why we have Fly Safari, primarily starting from Cape Town to Mpumalanga for only 2 trips?
Exactly. 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 So we're not even analyzing the patterns. And we need to analyze the patterns. You see, I mean, I work in the gorge. I take statistics in the gorge. Out of the leisure market that comes internationally, that comes to the Panorama, it's less than 15% that comes to the Panorama. And those numbers are dwindling because the tour operators are saying, we can't be selling that place because how do you take a 5-star tourist to take them to a place where there's no ablutions? So the guys are saying to us, if you don't get your house in order, there's no reason. So MTPA is not, they are going on trips, these guys. You see, they are having fun, they are going on trips, and they are not in the center of marketing the province. They're not in the center of marketing the province. The private sector is driving, especially the DMCs, what we call destination marketing companies of Cape Town and Europe. Those are the ones that are selling our province. And they are selling Kruger National Park. They are selling Kruger National Park. They are not even selling the Panorama. They are not selling Dalstrom. The team, the LTO in Dalstrom, the local tourism organization of Dalstrom, on their own, they revived Dalstrom to be this jewel. Yeah, on their own. There is no contribution from MTPA. And you can check a marketing material of MTPA now, and I'm challenging you to check it. You will not find anything about Dalstrom. You will not find anything about Dalstrom. So we're paying 480 million for vibes.
Mpumalanga, that's all we had with Oupa Pilane, unpacking some of the states of our tourism. I don't know about you, but it's disheartening. The information that has come out of this conversation, it's not nice. I hope that those who are in authority are listening, and they will definitely pull up their socks. We are tired of vibes. There you have it, the big seat update with Oupa Pilane, the state of tourism.
Thank you, sir.